All right, let's get these highlights, and this might be the game of the year, the 49ers and the Saints. And there's Jimmy G, 14 touchdowns, 4 interceptions the last 6 games. Jimmy G dropping back. Who was he looking for? Emmanuel Sanders. Woo-wee. I see you. He falls down, gets up, and says, if he fall down, he shall get up, and he does. Wow. He scores a touchdown after that. That is 75-yard TD. Emmanuel Sanders, as soon as he was traded, he started making plays. Check out this play right here, though. Deebo Samuel, he's going to get the ball, and he's going to toss to Emmanuel. He's going to fall down, throw a fadeaway, and who is that? Raheem the Dream Mostert. You know what? I like him hating me, though. A lot of people are saying, he already has a nickname, Nate. Okay, fine. We want multiple nicknames.
Charles Davis was a big surfing guy.
Really? Oh, because he does a celebration.
Down in Florida, he got offered contracts to be a professional surfer.
Raheem Mostert then. Yes. How about that? Well, listen. The Saints, they're riding the Michael Thomas wave right now. He gets in the end zone. Nice. He had 11 receptions, 134 in a TD. But how about this play right here? Saints possession, and they were trailing at this point, and my guy Traquan Smith gets in the end zone. That spin move was graceful. Drew Brees loving it. Okay, the next 49ers possession, 4th and 2 on their own 33 after a long drive. 30 seconds left, and they go for it, and they get it. Of course, it's Kittle. And watch this. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom. I would say that's about 20-something yards after contact. I want you to take another look. Check out the face mask. I guarantee if they didn't face mask him, he would have scored a touchdown. George of the jungle. And that is it. He makes a play. And how about this? He is as good as gold. They are down by 1, and that is good. Boom. The 49ers, they win this one in a close one. We've seen these guys have some heavyweight bouts, some close games, but this was a high-scoring affair. The 49ers, they win on the road in New Orleans, a tough place to play. And Emmanuel Sanders balled out. So listen, if your last name is Sanders, I guess you're going to ball out too, because Deion Sanders gave him a call after the game.
But everybody's been worried about your quarterback, Garoppolo. Can he handle the light? Can he stand to deliver when it's time? And today he showed that he could.
Yeah, man, Jimmy's a baller. And like you said, everybody's waiting to really say, oh, he doesn't have it, And game after game, he just keep proving it. I tell you what, when I got here, obviously I done played with several quarterbacks, and some of them got ego, some of them got personality, but Jimmy don't have an ego, man. He just want to work hard. He's a team guy, and I really do. I tell people all the time, he relies on his hard work, and when those clutch moments come, he thrives in those moments because he just fall back on the hard work that he put in. So I'm happy for him. He's been balling ever since I got here.
Sanders there, they get the win, and then they regain the #1 seed while they're at it, their win, and of course that Seahawks loss on Sunday Night Football to the Rams. So the Saints now fall to the 3 seed behind the Packers, which means, by the way, that they'd now be playing on Wild Card Weekend if the playoffs, in fact, started today. The Niners have leaned on their defense a lot this season to get their wins, and there has been this lingering question of, can Jimmy Garoppolo keep pace with the NFC elite? We got our answer yesterday. What do you guys think about this, and was it the most impressive win of the season?
I don't know if it was the most impressive win of the season. I do love the fact that it was a slugfest. We've seen these guys have these low-scoring affairs, the ugly games, and they win it. And you would think to yourself, just like Emmanuel Sanders was saying, everybody wants to question our quarterback. Everybody wants to say that he doesn't have it. But in a game where you're playing on the road, in New Orleans, up against Drew Brees, okay, you said it in the first hour, Drew Brees played amazing, 5 TDs as we can see right there. Jimmy Garoppolo went blow for blow in this game where he only had 9 incompletions. So the most impressive part was Jimmy Garoppolo and that 49ers offense proved that if you guys want to light up the scoreboards, we got the horses to do that too. And I'm not sure they could say that before they traded for Emmanuel Sanders. That's a whole different element when you add that type of speed along with Deebo Samuel, who is willing to catch anything across the middle, and George Kittle, who is, let's just say it here at the table, the best tight end in football. That's why it was impressive.
The bag of tricks that Kyle Shanahan just dumped on the Superdome yesterday were insane. Like, you saw the Kittle play, and that's great, but there was an option pitch by a fullback, Juszczyk.
Yeah.
There was a wildcat run by a wide receiver, Richie James, and then there's an end-around run by a tight end and Kittle. Like, they were doing all sorts of things, and the play you saw on the highlight was double pitch, pop, whatever, Emmanuel Sanders back foot, touchdown to Mostert, a running back. This stuff here, this is what makes Kyle Shanahan special. So as much as the defense is going to lead the way, when you need to, you have to have it in the playbook. They had it in the playbook. This stuff was incredible. Shanahan, he emptied the bucket, and yet I feel like it's an endless bucket. There's more to go. So last week they go into Baltimore. They play them tough in the trenches, and it's just run the ball down their throats and try to get it. And then this week it's all this aerial and trick play and fun stuff, and then Kittle at the end. Niners are pretty well-rounded, offense, defense, and they can beat you in a lot of different ways.
I love the trick plays, and it's great. They're accessories on a car, but you got to have that driver. And I look at Garoppolo. The one-namers are waiting for him. Russ, Aaron, Drew. You know, you go to bars sometimes, there's like members who have their mug up there with their name on it. They have a private locker at their club. Those guys all go to the playoffs. They've been there. Jimmy just beat one of the one-namers. As Kay mentioned earlier, this was not Drew Brees' arm strength. I don't know, it's still, like Drew Brees, this looks like from 6 years ago when he would put up 40-something points and they would lose and go 7-9 because of Rob Ryan's defense, okay? He beat him in his house. He just beat a one-namer. So forget about me for a second. Forget about anybody here. Did you notice that every week the Niners players are dying to get to the podium to scream about Garoppolo? It was Sherman. It is Sanders. They love him. And guys, he had like 6 drives in this game that were big boy one-name only drives. I'm not calling him Jimmy G anymore. He's now Jimmy. He's a one-namer now.
Jimmy, clutch throw after clutch throw.
There was a small thing that happened in the beginning of this game. The score was 7-7. The Saints score. And then Sean Payton decides to go for 2. And they miss it. And the score is 13-7. I'm sitting there on the set with Phil Simms. I said, why would Sean Payton do that? And he basically told me to show us dominance as a head coach. And I thought that was a bold move. So imagine Kyle Shanahan sitting on the other side of Phil saying, this early in the game, you're going for 2
dominance?
for no reason?
That's him drawing a line on the floor?
All of a sudden, Kyle Shanahan could look back at the end of the game and say, I was the better coach, and I outcoached you.
And you mentioned Richard
Nice
Sherman.
back and forth.
We all heard his words about Jimmy Garoppolo before we really saw him play at this level, so I was dying to hear what Sherman had to say after the game. He said, thank goodness for our offense. He was thankful because they weren't, the defense wasn't playing as well. Thank goodness for Jimmy Garoppolo, George Kittle, obviously Kyle Shanahan. The entire offense made plays when we had to, made it hard down the stretch. He did leave the game, though, Richard Sherman. We saw that. We should probably get an update. Ian Rappaport joining us right now. The 49ers leader, cornerback Richard Sherman did leave with a hammy. What's going on with him?
Now, Richard Sherman playing probably as well as he has at any point in his career, kind of quietly left the game with a hamstring injury and told reporters after the game simply he just could not go back out there. They asked him, is this something you maybe could battle through? As you guys know, hamstring injuries aren't really like that, and now the 49ers kind of threw the gauntlet of their season, but still at a very important part when they need some wins. They got to keep rolling, and they may not have Richard Sherman. Hamstring injuries are something you're very cautious with, and obviously everything the 49ers need to do involves the playoffs. They're not going to want to do anything to jeopardize that. Also worth noting, D Ford, their pass rusher who they traded for in the offseason, was also knocked out with a hamstring injury. So big win for the Niners, but maybe some significant losses as well.
If there's one thing that this team has showed us, they fight adversity and have dealt with injuries all season long for the past several seasons, actually. And they regain the 1 seed in the NFC after yesterday's win in New Orleans. Thanks, Ian. We'll talk to you in a little bit. More highlights for you out there watching. We know you want it. We've got them all every hour. It was the GOAT versus the MVP up in Foxy for an AFC Championship rematch. There was booing, not of the Chiefs. We'll get to it. And he might be the best player in the league, but Buffalo put Lamar Jackson to the test.